Second one is when the blood is finished, the royal blood.
And so then, how does the next dynasty come up?
Relative, family.
Or upheaval. And there's an aristocracy, and there's people in line. There's Seti I was of the military. He was not a royal.
Like Hormoheb.
And you are accepted. The crowns accept you. The crowns are female, and the crowns accept you, or they don't.
So 30 times the bloodline is ended, and a new dynasty has come up.
And oftentimes when a king dies, his son is very, very young. And then the woman, that's how Hatshepsut came on board. She was the daughter of the king, Thutmose I, and she was married to her half-brother. He was ill, didn't have a long life, had a son with another wife, and she became the regent for that young son who was an infant when he died. And so she assumed his regency, and then she did such a great job. She was like, I think you're not quite ready yet. And she carried on until she was 40. She was 12 when she took the throne.
Wow.
And then how did the dynasty continue with the son?
This stepson or half brother, half cousin, he would marry, and that bloodline would go on, and then it would change and become a new.
He tried to rabbit her name, and he damaged her name from anywhere he passed. All her cartouches damaged.
But he did it very late in his rule. He had a long rule. He had been sent to the military. The king's sons were often educated very well in the military and became very popular in the military. And he didn't do that until very late in his own rule, in his own life. I think he appreciated her initially. She took an imperialist culture and she transformed it into trade. She made diplomatic relationships. She sent out incredible missions to gather things from Nubia and into the Red Sea. They might have even come to India. And they brought back trees and animals and living things and the people celebrated. She created great wealth and peace. And yeah.
She's the next visit, by the way.
Yeah, and she's going to be president of the United States.
And
She's coming back. Yes.
Important point, her tomb in the Valley of the Kings.
Wow.
Yeah, she changes her pronoun from she to he to avoid the fight with her stepson or stepbrother. And then finally, they made her tomb in the Valley of the Kings here. And her tomb, if you go at the top of the mountain, you will find yourself going down to her temple. Because when we go to her temple, you will see the same shape. It's walking 45 minutes to her temple from here, climbing the mountain. So she made the tomb in the Valley of the Kings, and behind her military temple.
And another thing that's so interesting that she did with that mortuary temple, because the mortuary temples were created so that the king and the priesthood could come and do service for the king in his afterlife. Hers was open to the people. There were whole portions. She built it on 3 levels, again to the triad. She built it on 3 levels, and she had portions where people could come, locals, everyday people.
And this is what unique. It's never happened before. All the people have a limited part. Only priests and high priests allowed to go
into the temples. But she said, no, we're going to have celebrations and people are going to come.
And which dynasty was
18.
18, and that was almost 1600 BC.
Wow. And the 18th dynasty ended basically with King Tut. 2 of his advisor and his top military person took the throne after his death. For 5 years for his vizier, and then I think 10 for Horemheb, who we will see on the trip, and then Seti I was named, and his father was put on the throne 2 years before his death. He was already an old man, military family from the Delta region, probably some mixed blood that made them stronger and more capable of producing healthy heirs. The inner
The fourth is 20th.
and the Ramsey name continued because Ramsey II was the son of Seti I, and he was on the throne the longest of any. It was really the golden era. He was on the throne, I think, maybe 60 some years.
So what dynasty was that?
The 19th.
Ramses II?
So, and we'll see Seti I's temple. Seti I really came in. I'll tell you, I wrote a whole chapter in my dissertation about it because it's so amazing. He really came with the mission. I am going to reunite and re-enliven and restore Egypt after Akhenaten had destroyed trade, had destroyed diplomatic relationships, had destroyed all the various cults, had eliminated. He had only the day part of the journey. The Aten was only for the day. Like, well, what about night? No, we don't care about that anymore. But that is where the renewal happens in the darkest moment of the night. And so you have to have that whole circuit. It's what Egypt was based on. It's what allowed them to have the renewal, is to go into the darkness, claim the gold, bring it up into the daylight. The birth happens here at the bottom of the cycle. And it's that you have to have both.
And so Akhenaten, he doesn't have
He was a heretic. They wiped out much of him.
I know, but
So-
does he have a tomb anywhere?
No, so
We
far,
don't know.
We discovered a sarcophagus. It's
It's
written
Armana.
on it in a hieroglyph. It's belonged to Akhenaten, and it's taken off his cartouche, but it's no mummy. We don't know where is the mummy. We're very interested to find his mummy because
Such an interesting
if you look to the mummy, it's unusual. A very long, thin face, a hips like a female, a big belly. They never do this in a male in ancient Egyptian art. There's something happened. What's happened? We don't know. It's something missing. According to the discovery of his mummy and using a DNA, probably will reach one of reasons can let us join the other reasons. But honestly, so far it's nothing.
And they actually, I think the things in the Cairo Museum where they found in Karnak, I think there's some stuff that they found from Akhenaten's.
Yes, there's some stuff. The sarcophagus.
Yeah.
It was in the discovery of the Karnak temple, 1970s, which is later by 1970s is moved to Germany. It's black market, and we get it back in 2001.
Oh,
Wow!
Yeah, but now we're dealing at the head of Nefertiti.
Ah,
Before we move, guys, please give a big clap to this very informative.
I'm gonna be quiet.
Mother, I'm proud to be here with me. Really, I'm proud. If you have someone in your group, informative, believe me, 70% of your tour is done smoothly with your people. So I can tell you, I'm proud to have Lori in my group.